Question 1. In what ways does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? The front cover of my music magazine, The Documentary, contains conventions that are usually seen in other similar music magazines such as XXL and Vibe, which represent the same genre of hip-hop. The most conventional element I have used within my music magazine front cover is the masthead, which I have positioned in the top third of my page, which is important to me as my magazine will be noticed amongst other magazines. I have kept the convention of using a yellow banner placed below the masthead, allowing it to stand out so that it can compete with other magazines. I have then followed the convention by using two colours within my masthead. The first being used for the yellow banner, which is placed below the masthead, and the second being for the font, creating a house style, which is similar to XXL, a magazine I had analysed before the production of my own magazine. However, I have developed this convention by placing my masthead across the whole top third of my page, as most of the magazines I had analysed kept their mastheads small and toward one side. I also did this so my masthead would be seen as an important part of the magazine, even though I have kept the convention of placing it behind my main image. Another convention I have used within my magazine front cover is having one main central image which dominates the entire page, which is similar to Vibe magazine. This is a low angle medium shot of a male bringing his hand toward the camera. However, I have tried to challenge the convention by using a shallow focus and drawing all the attention to the hand. I did this to place more emphasis on the image relating to the main story. I have also tried to challenge this image further by not having much colour on the mise-en-scène or background, and by only having one main colour, black, to represent elements of power, but with emotion, as black stands out, creating a sinister colour. I have also developed the convention of the main image by framing the image from the left side to give an idea of what the image is trying to represent. The next convention I have used on my front cover is having the main cover line as the name of the male in the main image. I also made this the largest piece of text on the page, which is similar to XXL. I have created a house style of white, black and yellow, which I believe are conventions of the hip-hop genre, which represent innocence and purity. However, white is a traditional colour which is used within hip-hop due to emotion, as many hip-hop artists come from poor and bad backgrounds linking to murder, whereas the black connotes power and dominance, which most hip-hop artists are represented as, due to being seen as role models, and the yellow connotes gold or wealth, which most hip-hop artists represent and place importance on. The white and black colours are the most conventional colours used in other hip-hop magazines. The colour yellow isn't seen as often, as this is often replaced by red. However, I decided to go with yellow as I feel it catches attention by providing some originality from the others. I chose to keep the font for the smaller cover lines simple by putting them in the same serif font. However, everything else, including the masthead and the three larger cover lines, I put in different fonts to connote their importance. The overall layout of my front cover, I believe, is conventional to other magazines of hip-hop, such as the central image, subheadings, headline, strapline and barcode. However, I have challenged and developed some conventions by adding my main stories to the top left of my front cover, with subheadings of different artists named at the bottom left. I have then placed main cover line and strapline below the main image, placing the next few cover lines in the top right corner. I've also tried to eliminate as much dead space as possible, making my front cover look full and busy like most other hip-hop magazines. A contents page contains various conventions consistent with other music magazines. I have done this so that the audience know that this is the contents page. The most conventional element I have included on the contents page is the extra features section, which connotes that the magazine contains more than expected. This is because most other magazines such as XXL contain extra stories for the audience to read and enjoy. Therefore, I decided to add this as a section on my contents page, which I believe will let the audience know that the magazine contains a lot of stories to read from. I have, however, tried to challenge the convention in this section by only adding 2 stories. I did this because I want the audience to focus on the main stories, which are located in the key features section. I've also kept the convention of keeping a limited amount of stories on the page. This is so that the reader doesn't become bored of all the text. I have kept the convention of adding my masthead on the contents page, which is similar to the 3 magazines I analysed, XXL, Vibe and Hip Hop Weekly, due to each of them containing an element of their masthead on their contents page. I believe that they do this so that they can keep an element of their house style throughout every page, constantly reminding the reader of the magazine. However, I have developed this by including the whole masthead from the front cover to the contents page, allowing it to dominate the top third of the page. I did this so that the audience will remember the name of the magazine they are reading, to reinforce a brand, and so they know the masthead is important, whilst encouraging the house style with it. I have also added a subheading contents, which is placed below the masthead so that it can allow the audience to navigate through each story. I decided to keep this in the same font, Blair MDO TC TT, as the masthead, to let the audience know this page is just as important as the front and to maintain the house style. I then went on to add other conventions such as the magazine website address www.thedocumentary.com, which is positioned on the black banner toward the bottom of the page, and the date March 2013, which is placed on the black banner toward the top of the page. I did this to let the audience know they could search the topics they wish to read online, and by giving them the date so the process can be a lot easier, so they can easily access the magazine they want to read. I went on to develop these subheadings by adding brackets to either side of them, coloured in a house style of yellow, making it visible to the audience. I have used 2 columns with my contents page which were similar to XXL and Vibe. I then decided to challenge this by colouring the background of these in green, which was an unconventional colour due to giving the page a different style. I did this to give my contents page a 4th colour, as I wanted my magazine different from other magazines of the same style. I chose to place the main image in the centre of the contents page, allowing it to dominate the entire page, and so the reader would be focused on the image whilst reading the stories placed above it. The image is a medium shot of the male standing behind a wide gate. The image immediately gives the audience an impression of what might be represented, such as the criminal world or prisons, which relate to the genre of hip-hop. The colours from the male's mise-en-scène is the same as the house style, which is black and white, connoting powers but with a sense of innocence, which represents the artist's past. Even though the image dominates the page, I challenged the convention by placing the main key features column on top of it, so that the audience look at the stories available. They can refer back to the main image, giving them a link to what they might be reading. I then went on to challenge another convention of only having one main image on the contents. Instead of adding a second, I decided to add a pull quote relating to what my main image might be representing. I thought this would also be a unique feature to add on my contents, as the pull quote connotes what the artist is about. However, I left it in a small font so that the audience wouldn't focus too much on it. In my double page spread, I have tried to use various conventions to enhance the hip-hop genre that my magazine is trying to represent. The first convention used on my double page spread is the main headline, The New Rockefeller of NYC, which I have placed at the top of the left page, introducing what the page is about. I have further gone to develop the headline by adding the house style colour of yellow to the word Rockefeller, indicating to the audience this word is important. However, giving the audience no clue at this point of what this may mean, I have let this word follow onto the right page, which is an image of the artist anchoring the two together, although then allowing them to quickly go back to finish the rest of the headline of NYC, which navigates the audience to the main article. I have made this font, Copperplate Gothic Gold, the biggest on the whole page, letting the reader know that this is the main headline. I have then followed on to a second headline, which is the name of the male in the image. This immediately tells the reader that the interview is about him. Another convention I used on the double page spread was the main image, where I used the whole right page. The main image is a long shot which consists of a male, again with the convention and the house theme colours of black representing power and emotion, although containing mise-en-scène of trees and a bench which could be connoting the street life the artist has lived, also linking to the article. The male also has his arms wide, giving a sense of enthusiasm. I have however tried to challenge the convention of the main image by placing the main image on the right end of the double page spread instead of on the left start. As in most other hip-hop magazines like XXL and Vibe, the reader is brought into the article or interview with the main image navigating them first. However, I wanted the reader to follow the main headline onto the main image, but then back to the interview, which is the main feature of the double page spread. I have also added a part of the main image on the left page which shows that the interview and the images are connected. The next convention on the Dobro spread is the pull quote, which is similar to the XXL and Vibe magazines. I decided to add a pull quote. I joined the ASAP mob because it's good for business. We're taking over Rockefeller, toward the bottom of the right page, so that the reader could get an idea of what the main interview is about. I added one main quote from the interview which I thought would interest the reader. I then developed the pull quote convention as I placed it on the image toward the bottom of the right page, which was different to most other magazines, as the pull quote is normally placed above the body of text. I started to do this because I wanted the reader to imagine the person in the image saying those words, which is important to me because I know the reader has referred back to the main image, whilst also giving them a chance to focus on the main image. I then went on to develop the pull quote by adding a white layer around the text, making it stand out off the image, as most magazines keep the text exactly the same as the article or interview. Another convention I used on my Dobro spread was to start with the stand first, the new Rockefeller of NYC, allowing my reader to know a bit about the male in the image and also to give them an idea of what the interview may be about, which is important because the reader can gain an immediate interest. The body of text is in black, which stands out from the white background, which follows the My House style. I placed my text in size 12, which is also a conventional element used by magazines. I placed my questions in size 13 and then made them bolder so that the audience can easily tell the difference between the questions and answers. I learned this from my textual analysis. Similar to my contents page, I've added the page number 41 at the bottom of the right page and the website address www.thedocumentary.com at the top of the left page to encourage the reader to go online. I've also added two big jumpers at the end of my interview to let the audience know the interview carries on to the next page. These conventions are widely used throughout most music magazines.